G'day everyone, Alex here. Welcome to episode 180 of the Trademate Sports Betting Podcast. Today I am joined once again by the former Paddy Power trader, former pro gambler, or maybe he still gambles, I'm not too sure, and current head honcho at AK Bets, Anthony Kaminskas. Welcome back.
How are you, Alex? It's been a while. We haven't caught up for a while, but it's you're looking well. You're looking better than me anyway, so it's going good for you.
You've got 3 kids. I've got 1, mate. So you've got that on me.
Further down the line there, yeah, for sure. All good, mate.
It's good to have you back, mate. The last time we chatted was like 3 years ago. It was that infamous story that you put up on the on the Twitters yesterday for you, today for me.
Yeah.
But that was God, that was funny. Go back and watch. I think I've watched that clip at least, or watched that story at least 5 to 10 times in the last couple of years, and it's just, it's priceless.
It's a good one. It was actually good to see it again, to be honest with you, because it re-jogged the memories. That was a long time ago now. I'd say that was over 10 years ago that happened.
Yeah.
I still remember it now because I literally had no money at the time. I was absolutely broke, and it was worth like 65 grand or whatever. And I just remember walking home. I walked home from work that day and just walked home for an hour just on my own, just going, "Oh God, what a nightmare!" Yeah, it's funny. Character building, mate. Character building.
Oh yeah, for sure, mate. So anyone that hasn't listened, go listen to it. Should be on the Twitters by the go back a few days and listen. It's priceless stuff. But I watched back the last. It was like we did like a podcast with Neil and Tony 3 years ago, and I was at the end of the podcast. You were kind of it was kind of, I think it was just when AK Bets was starting, when you were just going around the horse tracks and whatnot, and it was so interesting, like listening to you speak about AK Bets and like your plans for it, or maybe not your plans, but you just what was to come for AK Bets, and you just sounded like very nonchalant about the whole bookmaking thing, like saying that you're in no rush, that you just bought an office, but you weren't thinking of moving into it for a while. I think a couple of years, you said. So now you're in another office, so it's progressed pretty well over the last 3 years. Has it gone beyond your expectations?
Yeah, I suppose it has. It's probably kicked on a little bit quicker than I thought it might have done. Probably in that initial stage, anyway. You don't know what's possible until you try, I suppose. So, I had my rough plans in place, but as it took off, essentially, or as we started, I just got more and more involved into it and got more and more probably slightly obsessed with it and trying to kick it on. And we've done a lot of work. Like, it's funny you say that we just bought the office when we formed the business. That office is up for sale now, and we've moved office to a bigger place. So and that was, I remember even just myself walking past that office and going, "God, look at that building there. It looks a bit of a dump, but like if you did this to it, it's in a nice area." And like I was even just thinking about it from a plus EV point of view, even with the office. Like I thought it was kind of underappreciated, and that's worked out for what we paid for it and what it's up for sale for now. Anyway, if we can get what we're asking for it, so it's just funny how things happen. Like because I don't even know when it was. It's only 3 and a bit years old, the company, just in general, and the first year I did the whole first year on track. Literally just spent it on track. We weren't even online, and learned so much basically on the track. It's unbelievable. Like, you learn so much just being around people and who bet. And even this podcast and other podcasts, you're around price sensitive people. Your whole group of pals and the people you knock about with all day is price this, where can we maximize this? And I just learned so much just being around the general population and just listening to what they wanted, what their needs were, and their needs on track were often just showing a bit of attention. Wasn't so much price that was important; it was about the customer service, and that's kind of really shaped the ethos of some of the stuff we've done here, basically. And we're still improving, we're still trying to get better at it, but like, the things that I thought were going to be really important when I was starting off, especially for online, just probably aren't as important to growing the business essentially.
Do you enjoy it as much as you did in that first year? Like going around the tracks and, meeting people every day and talking to them, like you said, like that can be, that can be something that you fall in love with, I guess. And then going from that to I guess behind a wall in a way, like making, going from that to a website. How have you, do you kind of miss that? And was that kind of your favorite part of it all?
Yeah, I don't enjoy it as much now. From the
Yeah.
outside, it might look like it's going well, but I would say to my missus, my enjoyment for it isn't as strong as it was. It's. I think I might have said to you previously when we were chatting years ago that like my old job was becoming, it was like work, and I wanted to enjoy my work, and that's kind of why I went out gambling originally, and then the racetrack was an extension of that. Feels like I've gone a little bit more back towards work, and I feel like I'm actually working now, and it's funny, like it's the AK bets, the name AK bets or brand or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes I wish that it didn't have AK in it personally, because I feel really responsible that it's got my name next to it for absolutely
Yeah.
everything. And it means that you're just like mentally, it's tough to switch off because like, you see some stuff and like we try and get everything right, and it's just impossible to be perfect, obviously. But if I see something, I'm like, oh, I don't like what we've done there. We need to get back onto that customer and do something else. And I'm just really conscious as if it was called anything other than having my name in the title, I think I'd care slightly less and be slightly happier. But yeah, all in all, it's going well, and it's just even when I was gambling, I was doing stuff with people in Australia, people in America. Time zone wise, you felt like you could never really switch off because you were just on all the time. But it was enjoyable and it was on your own time, and there was less pressure, I suppose. I felt there was less pressure. This feels like more pressure to me, and you're on the whole time. Your websites, unless there's some downtime for some IT reason, you're switched on the whole time, so that can be quite mentally tiring sometimes.
Can you change the name now, or is it too much of a? Would it set you guys back too much?
No, I'd imagine that's probably not a good idea. You'd be
Yeah.
starting off from scratch, I suppose. Like we built a loyalty and we built a brand loyalty through the tracks and stuff like that. Excuse me. It's going to be hard to extradite myself from that process, I'd say. But yeah, I enjoy it. I still enjoy it. It's just probably a little bit. It's probably a little bit tougher just with as you grow and as you grow a business from you and a couple of mates, or you or one or two mates, to now you're hiring people you don't know. Essentially, it's you know what I mean. There's a whole different level to it, I think.
Hope your employees aren't watching this, mate.
Well, you don't know them originally when they send the CV in and when they come through the door. I think I know some of them now anyway. But yeah, it's even just learning all that stuff from me, just even the employment side of it, and like you're picking up news. The amount of knowledge I've got from in 18 months since when we started is just honestly, I suppose it's the same as anything, but like my whole knowledge was trading, risk management, what I thought punters wanted, and having the business. You can see absolutely everything, every single facet. My time is barely spent doing anything trading related. It's literally all business relationships. It's all customer service, compliance, absolutely every facet of the business and trading. We've hired like really experienced and really good traders, and I think we do that pretty well. But my time is spent probably outside of my traditional skill set, probably.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What exactly do you do now? But you've just answered that. Do you think that's why you've, I guess, not fallen out of love with it, but you've become less. It's more of a business now to you.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, listen, I still enjoy it. I'm picking up honestly my level of knowledge of the industry and the skills that I think I've developed in the last 18 months. Not that I need to beef up a LinkedIn profile here or anything like that, but I feel like I've just got I think I just understand things a lot clearer and better than I did 18 months ago, basically. And it's just because a similar concept to the gambling. It's kind of trial and error a little bit. It's kind of, if I make a mistake here, it's gonna fucking hit me in the pocket, and that is why you have to be absolutely all over it. Like, and one thing I've always been obsessed with is just understanding like incentives in contracts, and what's incentivizing the person on the other side. How do they think they're going to make money out of us? And then trying to find some kind of strategy that maximizes it for us but keeps them happy and stuff like that. So I'm really enjoying that side of things in all the different facets and all the different contract negotiations we do, from as basic as providers that do affordability checks and like absolutely every single facet of the industry. We're doing it, and we're doing it on a small scale. Listen, we're no big company or anything, but you still need to be over absolutely everything, every single part of it, and it's I'm learning so much, and it's different, but it's still good from that perspective.
Yeah, no, sounds full on, mate. So you talked a little bit about it already, but employing traders, or just whatever employees you have in general. What's that process been like for you? Like, how many do you have, and has it been, I guess hard putting trust in them, especially like you said, something that's got your name on it. It's not, I'm trying to think of, Ladbrokes or something like that. Like, this is AK Bets. So the process, when you started employing people and putting trust in them to do a good job and represent your name, how have you found that?
Yeah, good. Like, I suppose, like the guys that I got in originally that I knew, essentially. So the guy that does my own course was a guy that kept knocking me back in shops, and but seemed to know what he was doing. He was like, "Listen, I know you should be getting a bit more on this and this kind of thing, but this is what I've got to do." And he was real good from a customer services point of view. That's the big thing we've done for the customer facing stuff. The racetrack was probably the first place we employed people. I've just got people that are really good. They've got, they wouldn't be super trader, professional gambler level of knowledge of gambling. But what we've just focused on is just like an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 level of knowledge on gambling, but fucking 12 out of 10 on customer services, basically. So anything customer services, it's one part of the industry that I thought was just done, still is. It's just by the big, and I suppose it's definitely hard when you've got millions of customers, but customer service is just horrendous. I think it's like want to change energy provider, want to get onto Ryanair to change a flight. Like, the customer service just isn't there. There's nothing there. It's a horrible experience. And we don't want it to be like that. And we thought that was going to be one of our niches, that if we can be a bit more customer friendly, whilst being honest as well in some of our interactions with customers. So I thought that had served us pretty well. But then building the trading team has been building guys that started off with people that I knew, essentially, and respected from previous jobs. And then we actually went out and headhunted a couple of people that I didn't know. So the English guy we got in, he's actually Welsh, he'll hear that, but he was based in England. He sounds English. James, he was at Ladbrokes, and I was aware of him because he was in the same area as me. He was in Greyhounds, and he was really good on just Twitter back in the day, where customer has an issue placing a bet with Ladbrokes in the shop. James would get onto them. He'd be out of hours dealing with people on Twitter. He kind of ran it for them, but like from his own personal Twitter profile. And I just thought, geez, man, like, he's going above and beyond to try and help people out here. They're getting frustrated by the system at Ladbrokes. So yeah, I got onto him, sent him a DM on Twitter to give me a call. And he thought, because I was betting, I'd done a few bets with him and Ladbrokes and under the radar, and tried to take a few quid off them a few times. And he thought I was ringing him to try and get a bet on. And I basically rang him to try and get him over to Dublin and have a look at the office. And do you fancy coming working with us, essentially? And we'll up your wage, we'll give you more responsibility. Yeah. Took him to Conor McGregor's pub for a bit of dinner, and tried to wow him in the early days when there wasn't many of us there, and he was probably employed by a company that's got thousands and thousands of employees. It was tough originally, but we got him over the line, and that's kind of what we've done. Tried to, people do apply for you, but I like Football Manager in it, like going out and just seeing people that are really good at the job and going, fucking, let's try and get him, like sort of thing. That doesn't, in gambling, that doesn't happen. No, because trading's gone down as a function in all these companies. Yeah, I presume in other parts of the industry, like HR, people might go, "Oh, the HR person at fucking Skybet is good or whatever. Let's get them." Nobody does that with trading, and I thought that like you just wait for people to send a CV, and when you put a role up. But I thought, no, like I'll keep my eyes open and my ears open, and just watch people, and the people that I like maybe approach essentially. So that's the way we've done it.
So how many employees do you have now?
I think we've got, between the race course, we have a few abroad actually outside the UK and Ireland. I think we've got about 16, 17 maybe.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing for 3 years or whatever it's been roughly. That's quick growth, mate. Yeah, congratulations. It's a major thing that you've been able to do. So would you say your strategy is, because I was going to ask you, do you try and mold people? Because that's a lot of like I hear that from syndicates a lot. They try and employ people who have no sports betting background at all and try and like teach them how they want it done. Is that, I assume you're taking a different stance where you're trying to find guys with lots of experience in sports betting, and rather than just having like a mathematical kind of background?
Yes, it depends on the role, I suppose. We were quite trading focused at the start, and I didn't really want to be dealing with anybody from scratch. Just I suppose like early 20s guys just out of university kind of don't massively appeal to me. No offense to them. I hope I'm probably breaking some kind of employment law saying that, but it's kind of we wanted experience. We were very, very happy to go for people that have got experience, and we wanted to be the idea. And it's, listen, if somebody comes in, we've offered jobs to people early 20s, but if I kind of wanted my average age to be about mid 30s, and kind of like very people who've learned the trade in trading rooms, got a bit smart outside of that themselves, and we're looking to be in a similar environment with similar people essentially, but probably might be slightly narcissistic or whatever, but like kind of people similar enough to myself, but maybe who hadn't built up a bankroll or probably had the sense not to do what we've done, and from a workload perspective, but people that just wanted to be around other smart fellas essentially, and try and build a bookmaker off the ground. And it's class, like it has so many advantages. Like I'd hate to go back into some kind of corporate structure now myself personally, because every day you're just getting up and doing your own thing, similar to the gambling, but you're doing it from a bookmaking point of view, which is probably where all of us learn our skills essentially. So it's good, and then it's just incentivizing them to care as much as you about it, and the people that kick on, you look after them, and you need the lads that want to be there. They need to want to be there. I'm probably, from a trading perspective, probably I don't know if I'd be tough. I'd love to hear my employees' honest opinions on me, because it'd be quite funny, but like I'd be quite anal about getting stuff right from a trading point of view and a risk management point of view. So I think there's pros and cons to it, but like if I see anything wrong, I'll message the person in charge of it straight away and just say, "Did you see that?" I try and do it as diplomatically as I can. Just think you've missed something there. This is what I'd do in that instance. And you kind of, from a staff point of view, you're kind of looking for the people that take that on. The best thing about being in a startup environment, as stressful as it can be sometimes, when there might be work for 5 people and there's only 4 of you in, or whatever, like there can be, is just everybody knuckling down and getting through the work. Whereas I think when you work for somebody and you're coming in, you're doing your 8 or 9 hours and then you're going home, I think you don't really get that kind of buy-in. So it's a good environment to be in, I think. I love it, to be honest, because it's kind of, we can make decisions really quick, and we can fail quick and change real quick as well. It's not like, oh, I have to bounce it off this guy and then another guy in another department. It's literally these lads in the room. Let's make a decision now. Let's do it, and let's work it out. And then if it doesn't work, let's fucking change it really quick and do something else. So it's fast enough paced, and I like that.
Yeah, from listening back to the last chat we had 3 years ago, it was like your primary goal was you just wanted to offer good odds and, offer, fair limits, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah,
like, it's been 3 years now, and I understand it probably takes a long time to be able to do that. Like, you can't really do that on day one if you haven't got, skilled enough traders or, enough, I guess, capital too is probably important. So how
yeah.
do you feel like you're at that level yet where you're like, I'm happy, like I'm really content with I guess the prices that you put out and the limits that you impose?
Yeah, definitely. I'm real happy with it. The way we've adapted and gone along as we can. Like we trading wise, we were of the opinion that we probably it's the same with it's probably worse for other bookmakers. We probably have hundreds of thousands of prices on their website at any one time. So optimally managing prices like to the nth degree is not possible. And then there's a trade off between do you absolutely spend loads of resource getting every price right on your website, or does that resource tail off at the tail there, and you put the resource into someone that's going to have more tangible benefits? What we've tried to do is in liquid. One of my frustrations was what one of the niches I thought was in the industry was if a customer's restricted on an account for whatever they're doing, say you're doing something on second half corners in the Australian A League or something like that. If you think you're going to scale that, you're probably going to struggle, was my opinion. But I was also of the opinion that if that guy wants to bet on Donald Trump at 4 to 6, you should be letting him whatever he likes as well. So it's real hard then to put that philosophy into a system and get it right all the time, essentially. But that is essentially what we're going for. If you want to bet in non-liquid markets where there's no depth to them, you're probably going to be disappointed in what you're offered. But if you want to have a bet in a liquid market, like we've laid some customers, the ideal customer for me from a smart perspective is we had a lad betting on the US election, and he's the one customer on the site. I'm just thinking of him now. He stands out because he's absolutely one of right few quid off us. He was betting Trump. He was betting the Republicans getting all the swing states. He was being correct bands for electoral college votes, for vote percentage. He's absolutely torn the arse off us. But he was betting into quite a deep liquid market, and like I'm happy to absorb. But I want guys telling me when the price is wrong in liquid enough markets. Essentially, I don't need somebody telling me that your fucking second half corner line there on that Albanian game is wrong, and I'm betting it 2 days out, and you think you're going to get a bet on. Like it's you never. One thing we all know about this industry is you're never going to please all people, but I have to make it work for me. There's no point me going against what I think's right and not having a business in 2 years and going, oh well, we did let you man who did the Albanian corners. Like, so it's it's kind of reality meets concept at some points, and then you're trying to adjust and do what's fair, essentially. I'm real happy with it. We barely get any bad feedback on limits and stuff like that. So happy enough.
Well, what percentage of your customers would you say is sharp versus just, mugs is maybe a little bit rude, but just happy to have a bet here and there?
Yeah, probably we'll call them non-price sensitive or something like that. Yeah, no, it's probably more. It's definitely more towards non-price sensitive, essentially. Whenever we've done anything with price as the driver, it doesn't really move the needle as much as you think. What I think moves the needle in the industry, people might not like it who are very, very important on price and stuff like that, but the majority of people aren't. Majority of people are, how quick are you going to reply to my email? How quick, when I hit withdraw, does that money hit my bank account? And they're the things that really matter to people. And how much friction is there in any kind of dealings with customer service and placing a bet and moving around your website? They're the things that really matter to people. Price matters to some people. Price probably matters to the people that we knock around with. But as an important lever, I think it's unbelievably further. Like there's some things that it's so far down list of priorities of the vast majority of people, which is it's crazy. Like I think it's probably because majority of people see gambling as disposable income and they're happy to spend 50 quid and that's their thing. It's kind of they're looking for an easy path to spending the money they want to spend essentially, and price doesn't really come into that equation as much as people had imagined. Like the amount of people, one of the things that's blown my mind, and I can't get my head around it, I still can't get my head around it, is the amount of people that open accounts but never place a bet. So like you'd think, like if you're opening a betting account, all those, the people we knock about with, you're opening a betting account because you've seen something and you're going to have a bet there and then. The amount of people that open accounts and never bet is off the charts. Like
what percentage of people
no,
that open an account?
on my head, but it's a lot higher than you'd imagine. It's not like 50% or anything, but it's a substantial percentage of people.
I'd imagine it would have been like 1%.
Yeah, no, it's a hell of a lot. If I had to guess off the top of my head, I'd say 15 to 20%. It's way more than you think. Yeah,
crazy.
just open an account, put all the details in, go through all that effort, but never have a bet with you.
What do you think it is that stops them?
I don't know. I've spoken to other people that have got businesses, and they, from a gambling perspective, they'll have a look at it this and go, "Yeah, didn't think of that, but we see the same as well." So it's kind of, I don't know. It's just really strange to me. I really don't know. But that is one thing that you think wouldn't happen, but what I've learned does happen essentially.
Maybe that's like a strange hobby out there to like sign up for things.
Worth a few quid, all those accounts, wouldn't they? But
exactly.
Yeah.
So, like you like I've said before, you wanna give people a fair bet. Well, that was at least your initial goal, and maybe it's changed a little bit to being a lot more, customer service driven. Like, can you give me an example of what you think is a fair bet? Maybe just, I don't know, English Premier League game, day of, on a handicap kind of, pick 'em kind of line. Like, what would you say in your opinion is a fair bet?
We wouldn't have knocked any bets back on a Premier League game, day of game, like on a major line, like a winner market, or handicaps aren't really that important, and people don't really bet handicaps in football over here. It's always it's always a good sharp customers probably want to stay away from Asian handicaps for UK facing bookmakers, I think, because there's nobody bets them. You just give the game away by just having a bet on one of them. So it's handicaps aren't important. If you're betting with us on the Premier League, our pricing policy on the Premier League is, I only just got my odds checker data back the other day, where we've the lowest overrounds on match winners on Premier League on the whole of odds checker in the UK. I think it was coming out about 102.4% we bet Premier League games to in the 24, 36 hours before games. And we do that from a price perspective as well. And you're going to get on. If you're not just a guy that's your bot's running at 3 o'clock in the morning and you want to bet Brighton at 7-4 because they've gone 2-7-2, like those guys don't get on. But every customer gets on to what, no, can't say whatever you like, but you can get plenty on essentially. It's not you get bets on in liquid markets, and some of the liquid markets, because they're so liquid, we bet them so hard, so it's kind of, it works for us basically.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. And your favorite topic, Arbers, mate. They, I've always, like, when I hear people talk about Arbers, I always wonder, I guess, what their definition of an arbor is. We know what an arbor is, but I mean, like, do you define an arbor as someone who is just has sniped the best price in the market? Because you don't know what the arbor's doing. Like, they could just be looking for the one side of the equation, not the other. So if AK Bets is the best price in the market, which there's a good chance that it is for a few markets, and it's an arb, but that person might not even know. So how do you manage those situations?
Yeah, for me, I don't care what the arbor or the person we think is an arbor is doing after they placed the bet with us. It doesn't matter to me. Don't have any visibility of it. I don't care. If a customer's just coming on betting arbs, they don't. We won't tolerate it. Basically, we won't absorb that business as a cost of business. Basically, it's yeah, it's we basically don't lay Arbors. If you're Arbin, you'll be restricted very quickly. And it's one of the very few things you can do on our side that you won't last for very long. It's a pointless exercise essentially with us. We like I said, I don't care what the person does. Oh, I bet it because you were 13-2, and like your other 10 bets, it was 7.2 or whatever. And I didn't lay it off. Honestly, I don't. You get all of them saying, "Oh, I don't know what Arbin is," and then they say, "Oh, I didn't lay it off. I kept it." I don't care. Like I don't care. I want people to tell me. I want people to have their bet when it's 7.8 and it to go off at fucking 6.0. And if you're having your bet with us at 7.5, you're fine for me. We'll absorb that business. A good way to look at it is we want to layer originators. We don't want to layer people that respond to signal in the market, which is probably might be contrary to the ethos of the sponsor of this podcast. But that's the way we approach it, mate, to be honest with you, just because of the cost of business. We want to deal with smart people. I don't think people who Arbin is the primary source of income are as smart as they think they are. So yeah, that's essentially it. Because you're also trying to incentivize your non-price sensitive player base with whatever it be, free bets, bigger prices, the cost of taking bets, the product fees you're absorbing. Those guys are just so far down the list of they couldn't be lower essentially in the food chain for me. So yeah, we don't. It's just not something we'll ever do.
Is there ever a point where you think about it, like you look back and see maybe this person's placed like 10 bets that weren't ARBs, and then their 11th bet is an ARB?
Could it just fine,
yeah, okay. So in
those
those cases,
they won't be on the radar at all. Depends, like if it's 10 bets of a quid and then $3,000 on a big ARB. It depends, but like people are always the general population are going to bump into ARBs not knowing what they are or whatever they are, but they don't experience any problems.
Yeah. Okay. Do you often get customers message you and say that you've got an error in your odds ever?
Very rarely. We had one absolute gentleman who got overpaid on a bet by about 1,200 quid or something like that, a decent amount, and he got onto our trader chat function and said, "Lads, you've overpaid us on that bet. It's settled incorrectly." I think there was like it might have been like something like a dead heat in golf, and it was paid as a full place or something like that. And he came onto live chat and said, "Can't remember the exact amount. It might have been about 800 quid. It was a decent amount of money." And just said, "You've overpaid me there. You need to take 800 quid out of my balance." And I think we just said, "Thanks for that." We did take it back, and then we just give him a massive free bet. And then that's noted on his account, the honesty, and look after this guy. Even if he's beaten, whatever, you look after this guy because he's genuine, essentially. So you get plenty of, you won't believe the amount of people that try the other way. The amount of people, if a feed goes down and a race doesn't go off, the strike rate's off the charts. Like it's 100% of winners. Oh, didn't know it hadn't gone off, and I've just bet a fucking 18-1 shot, and every other bet I've had is on a 5 leg. So it's the amount of chances and charlatans. I think bookmakers do get a bad rep, but I'm sure if you actually thought about it, the amount of customers if there's any kind of issue with a feed or anything, they'll be happy to try and do some interesting behaviour the other way.
Yeah, I think it's a plus EV move to tell bookmakers about.
Definitely is to us.
Yeah. I think because I've done it myself too, and it works out well for you. I think it
definitely works out well for you, relative to the size of the company. So if you're telling a company with a market cap of 40 billion, they've made a mistake here and it's going to get lost. It's not going to be relevant at all to them. If you tell it to a company that's got less than 50 employees and everyone's all over everything as best they can, it's gonna get, and they don't have as many customers as the 40 billion market cap company. It's going to get you a lot of goodwill.
Yeah, mate. I wanted to talk about I guess because you're now, I guess it's not all just about trading and stuff for you anymore. Like you said, it's all about the business. So the like when you started, did you have some kind of marketing strategy, or do you think you kind of just fell into this um, instead of not I'm saying instead of is not the right way because you are obviously offering fair prices and good limits, but your focus now is on it seems to me like it's just like you want to be the best customer service bookmaker in the UK or wherever else you operate. So did you fall into that, do you think, or was that just something you planned from the off?
Yeah, I think customer service was important to us because we did it on the track, and we probably saw it as a niche that other people didn't do well. So that's why that's important. You try and be the best at everything, but there are trade offs between, I suppose, between resource and where you're going to get the most benefit from. CS is a huge one. If you're going to a bookmaker and you're speaking to a chatbot straight away, I just wouldn't. If I was just a man in the street who wants a good experience, I'd just be like, I can't use these lads. This is
Yeah.
every time I've got an issue, it's hassle. You come open an account with us, bet with us. Your trader chat comes through to a trader in the room upstairs, and you deal with somebody who knows about betting and bets all the time, or is immersed in the industry. It's not you explaining rules to my guys; they know the rules, and you get a resolution just so quick, like less than a minute. Like explain the issue, quick reply back, can sort that for you now. That all the guys are empowered is probably a bit of a fancy word for it, but like they've access to all facets of the system. They're trusted, and they can look after your account and sort your bet just immediately. It's not like get onto somebody in customer services at a big firm. They sit 2 floors away from somebody else they've never met who looks after settling. I have to send an email to this guy to resettle a bet. 4 hours later, he hasn't seen the email still. Like our speed of resolution is very, very quick because there's not many of us here and we're all mucking in essentially. It's real startup mentality. So from a customer service point of view, we're never going to get everything right, but we just get so much good feedback from it and so much goodwill, and yeah, I'm real happy with that. So that's probably where it's evolved in that regard. Our trading strategy has evolved over time because we've got more data. Like if we were doing what same as now, if I'm doing what I'm doing now in 18 months, I'm not evolving. We're changing all the time. So yeah, it's you're just constantly adapting to try and maximize what you offer essentially.
Yeah. No, for sure, mate. And is that like is it going to be hard for you to replicate this as you I don't know if you want to get bigger, maybe you just want to stop at, 15, 20 employees, or do you have a
Mm.
plan of like because it seems like your point of difference or your the key reason why you guys have been successful is because you are it sounds so corny, but like a family environment, like a mum and dad. What are they called? Like a mum and pop shop or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
what their
yeah.
saying is. Yeah. Do you think that's going to be like? Do you want to get bigger? And if so, how do you think you'll be able to replicate that kind of unique feeling around AK bets?
It's a tough one because as you get big, even just from a staff perspective, you have less control, I suppose, over making sure, like to the nth degree, you're getting the right people in. You then outside your circle of knowledge and people you already know, you start hiring people you don't know, and plenty of them work out, and the odd one doesn't as well. Um, do we want to get bigger? We definitely want to get bigger, but see, the way it is in the UK is there are a lot of brands pop up, and I call them burn and churn brands. Like they pop up 1 minute, disappear the next minute, and then they pop up in another guy's another minute. I wanted to, especially just essentially because this has got my name attached to it. We say if you look at all the firms on Oddschecker or all the newer firms, the non-corporate firms on Oddschecker, wouldn't surprise me if we've got the least amount of customers because we don't just go after people with stupid affiliate deals, just trying to get as many people through the door. burning through money. It's just not what we do. We try and build everything has to be sustainable, basically, because if it wasn't sustainable, I'm not worth absolute fortunes to prop it all up, sort of thing. So everything we has to do has to be sustainable. So we probably acquire customers at a slower rate than everybody else, but the customers we acquire, we look after, we service, and we give a good experience to, and we build it really slowly. And so I don't think that's conducive to growing as big as you. If the objective is to have 2 million customers next year, it's an absolutely no chance. It won't be anywhere near that. It's not going to be that at all. From a tech point of view, we don't own our own tech stack, so there's the chances of going stratospheric are just close to zero just because of that anyway. But we do what we can. We get the customers through the door, and if you bet with us, we give you a good experience, and we think we can give you a better experience than the bigger operators where you're just a number. And we won't just burn through customers. Like anyone I deal with, and one of the metrics in the industry is always first-time deposits. How many first-time deposits can you get? If I have any conversation with anybody, the Racing Post, Odds Checker, they all measure first-time deposits. And I'm like, I want to measure fifth-time deposits. Like, I don't care about first-time deposits. Getting a deposit off someone's easy. You just do a stupid welcome offer. You do a nonsensical, you do something absolutely nonsensical that's going to lose you money initially and lose you a bit of money. And that's obviously susceptible to abuse as well. And you're not acquiring genuine customers. It's like real churny business. I want to see customers that are fifth-time depositors because I know that they're my customers, and that's what we go after. I don't want guys that are opening on my account, do a couple of bets, and I never see them again. I want you to open an account with us because you want to use us, and we'll look after you. Essentially, that's my aim with this. So we'll never have a load of customers, I don't think, because that's the way I want to operate. And I think our chance of ruin because of that is probably quite low.
Yeah, does that give you a ceiling, I guess, as to how far you guys can grow then?
Oh, 100%, yeah. But like, it's not like a lot of companies have investors, and do you know what I mean? They're all, where can we source the next round of money from to try and expand and stuff like that. This is just fucking AKA here sat in an office going, sure, yeah, let's do that. Like, it's not, I have no real appetite to be like, right, let's get 50,000 customers next month. Let's do it. This is why we're going to do it. We're going to do this, do this. It's not that. It's not like I have to impress somebody above me to like, this is what I've done this month. I've acquired all these people and I'm reporting into somebody. It's like, I'm just doing whatever I want to do here. And what I want to do is just build it really sustainably. And that'll mean that we're never massive. It won't even get close to being anywhere near big. And we're real happy with that because we enjoy it and it's sustainable. And that's the way we want to do it.
You started a podcast a couple of, was it a year ago-ish, I'm guessing ish?
Yeah.
And you're still running, obviously. It's called The Racing Room, isn't it? You do it every week or so. So I'm not too into horse racing, mate, so I haven't listened. I'm sorry. But
no, you're good. It's very UK based anyway, but UK and Irish based. But we set up the podcast. Say again.
How have you found podcasting?
I fucking hate it. No, it's all right. But we set it up we did a podcast initially for the Rugby World Cup. And we got a guy in Ireland called George Hook, who was like an old fella, was the biggest person on radio in Ireland about 10 years ago, and kind of got pushed aside for some lax comments he made about that subject in particular. But I used to like him. I used to listen to him the whole time. I used to listen to him on a program called News Talk. He was the most listened to person in Ireland. He's a bit older. Used to play rugby. He would have been on the main channel over here, like as in the studio doing rugby stuff and stuff like that as well. And we just said, Rugby World Cup's coming up. There's a chap called Hugh Cahill, who's like the main presenter on RTE for horse racing and rugby. He lives not too far from me. And I always was impressed with his work. And he used to work for a betting operator. He used to work for Betfair, and he then wasn't working for Betfair. And I said, let's just see if Hugh Cahill fancies presenting a few podcasts. And get this guy George Hook, who's not been on TV or radio for years. Get our guy Dave, who likes the celebrant, who likes rugby as well, and just get them in a studio and doing a weekly podcast for the World Cup, and we'll give it a whirl for that essentially as our first stab at it. And they did that for whatever the length of the World Cup was, 6 weeks or something, probably 6 episodes of that. Went really well, got the name out there a little bit, and then we just stopped it because rugby union throughout the season isn't too sexy and doesn't capture too many eyeballs anyway. So we left it at that. And then we set up the Racing Room horse racing podcast about 4 months ago. So it was like a lull in between that. Didn't do anything. Set up the Racing Room, and again used Hugh as the presenter because he's brilliant. Tony Calvin had joined us from Betfair to do tipping stuff, and I always like Tony's stuff. I like reading Tony's stuff just from a betting perspective. And yeah, they both do stuff for us now. They're on that podcast, and then my UK based solicitor Harry Stewart Moore, who'd represented me in a few attempts to get money I was owed off gambling companies. He's on the podcast as well, and he's got a lot of experience because he does a lot of like stewards inquiry type stuff where, say, like a jockey gets banned for overuse of the whip and stuff. He usually represents like jockeys and trainers in any dealings with the authority as well. So he's kind of embedded in horse racing, and his dad would have been involved in some high court race fixing stuff in the UK as well. So like he's got a real good name, and he's just very, very good. And it's just interesting. There's me from a half telling it like it is from a bookmaker perspective, and probably being a bit too honest. Got Harry with the legal acumen that keeps us in check and gives really interesting legal insight into horse racing. Tony from like a tipping point of view and a betting point of view, and then Hugh, who's like the master presenter essentially. So it kind of all works as a thing, and it's gone really well. Basically, it's kind of, we put it out we just do one a week on Mondays, usually about midday it goes out, and it's the most listened to horse racing podcast that day and the next day essentially, just in the UK and Ireland basically. So yeah, very happy with it, and it's got a bit of a following, and try and tell it like it is and do our best to make it interesting.
Yeah, nice. I enjoyed the podcast you had with Pete and Celebrant Dave, and you just bring on a guest. Like I remember you had Nick Goff on once.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember who else you had on, but yeah, no, that was great too. So I was wondering where that one went too.
Yeah, we had one of your. That was just laziness from my point of view, Alex. To be honest with you, I couldn't. The amount of work you had to do for that. Like Nick, I knew Nick. Like we interviewed Tom Waterhouse.
That's right. Yeah,
we had Tom Waterhouse on. Just putting in a lot of work, prepping questions. It's not I'm not great at it, to be honest with you. I'm better off waffling on the other side of a question than asking the question, to be honest. So, yeah.
Fair enough, mate. Random diversion here, but I also wanted to ask, I forgot about this one. I wanted to ask about casinos. So I don't really care too much about this because in Australia we don't have casinos on sports books at all, but it's a hot topic in the UK, and I'm not sure if I assume it's offered in lots of other sports books around the world, but I'm just interested, like how much of your income comes from the casino? What percentage?
So margin, the turnover between sports and casino, top of my head, turnover is about 65% on the sports book, 35% on the casino.
Wow.
The margin on the sports book, we try and get to 10% on the margin. That doesn't include free bets or anything like that, which we're probably too generous with anyway. But we try and get to 10% margin on the sports book. Our margin on the casino is about 2.4%. So it's less turnover and it's a lot less margin essentially. I don't play casinos. Just don't interest me, to be honest with you. I still think I'm probably the only guy that goes to Vegas and literally when he gets out of the lift in the lobby and I can hear fucking bells and stuff, I'm just like, get me out of here. I fucking hate it.
Mate.
From a sensory point of view.
You got two people at least.
Yeah.
I was there last year, mate. I was I did not want to place one bet. It makes me feel.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'll go to the pool at the back, get me a burger, get me a beer, like,
Yeah,
let's go and see a show of some description. Like, I'm not into it, but what I would say is people are into it. And yeah, people play casino. We try and look after them if they play casino with us, with just the usual stuff with spins and free spins and stuff like that. But it's not something you won't ever see us tweeting it. It's an add-on essentially for us.
yeah.
It's if someone wins 20 grand on a casino, like I get a report every morning, mate. I swear to God. We went live on the 10th of March, right? And I got a report. I think it was this was in 2023, start of April. I woke up, and the first thing I do is I get my casino report comes through at like 6:45 or something every morning. How the casino's got on the site. So I have no visibility, but I'm not looking at it at all. And I always remember this morning in particular, very early on, and I was the only guy in the office. I was literally doing everything on my own for the first 6 to 8 weeks before we hired somebody. And I pressed the button to open the casino report, and some lad had won like 60 grand on the casino overnight. I was just like, oh God, I was so sick. I was so sick. And so like so that's it. Like I think you can the thing with a casino is it should generate small money each day for your sportsbook or for a sportsbook of our size. But you're also susceptible to opening that report one day and someone's just got the lot off you as well. So it's kind of, it evens out over time. We get a couple of percent out of it, but it's not something we push, and we don't advertise on social, or we don't say, oh, someone's just won 25 grand on the casino. We let it sit there. We're a sports book, and we have the casino add-on to attract customers that play both, essentially.
Yeah, I will say the only good thing that I found in Vegas casinos was they have these horse racing games. Have you seen them where you can bet on the plastic horses around the circle?
Oh, I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
That shit's good. That was the only thing I would do. I never went near the blackjack table or a roulette or anything like that.
Just not into it. Just not into it. Like you talk about customer service, dealers in these casinos, they're like this.
Yeah.
They look like they hate it more than I imagine I'd hate it, to be honest with you. Like, oh God, it must be so. It just doesn't appeal to me.
Imagine all the tools you'd meet every night too. It would be traumatic.
It must be. Yeah, it must be. You need danger money, I'd say. Like just from a head point of view. Like if you like playing them, play them and do it responsibly and all that stuff. But yeah, it just doesn't appeal to me. I'm sports background, so.
Yeah. So, moving on, are you doing any gambling yourself now? Like, surely you're doing something.
Very little, mate, to be honest with you. Very little. The upside, the amount of work that I was putting into gambling, you probably know yourself, but like, I was doing the mad weeks when I was doing it full time, and it was my primary source of income. As soon as I started the website, the upside to this was a lot bigger. And any hour spent, just the trade-off is, and then you can't really do the gambling for. I wouldn't have 5 hours a week free, so you can't really fudge it and just looking at like the last bet I had. I think the last bet I had was about the last bet of any note was about 10 grand on Derry to win the Irish Premier League, and then they got beat. So not had much really. Not really following it, to be honest with you. I don't really follow it. Just not really that close to it, to be honest with you.
Do you have anyone in the trading team that's betting for you or like betting for AK bets?
No, we don't do it. I thought we would do it at the start, but as a trade-off for time, and it's better just to put it into the product essentially. So I'm pretty sure the lads in my room do that work for us essentially. I'd be pretty sure they're all still betting. I hope they are anyway, because it keeps your eye in, and I like my traders to be invested in the markets and doing stuff. For me personally, it's not gone beyond that. I'm no big fish or anything like that, but there's only so many hours in the day, and if I want to do gambling, I was doing a lot, and I was absolutely all over it, and now I feel like feel like I couldn't even talk to somebody who's bets properly professionally anymore, because I think I'm more in the bookmaking space now. Like, I'd be out of my depth. I think if someone said something, "Oh, did you see that latest edge with X Bookmaker, and this is what we're doing to get money out of it," I'd be like, I think I'd be lost, because for a long time I've done no hours a week on gambling now, so it's kind of like I'd have to really get back into it to be the level I was at it. Did well at it, but yeah, this is more important to me.
Yeah, it must be hard to do too, because I remember this is years ago. I was moving some stuff for a syndicate, a tennis betting syndicate, and every time I'd bet it over here, it took the bookmaker. It was a sharper bookmaker over here, and they eventually cottoned on that it was sharp stuff, and then it became unbettable there because they would just lay everything off at Pinnacle, and the whole
Yeah,
market would be fucked. So I wonder, like,
I know which bookmaker you're talking about there in Australia. Let's say no more. But yeah, no, that's the way. Like,
so it must be hard to do, because I mean, you've just got to, if you want to take sharp action, you just got to take it. Like, you can't, you, you
yeah,
can't.
I think as a better though as well, if you're a professional gambler, I think when you request a bet with a bookmaker, you show your hand, right? So that's why there's loads of facets of being a professional gambler, but one of them is just the execution of getting money on is very important. That was one thing I thought I was really good at. If I have to blow my own trumpet about something, I think there's loads of lads that can find bets. I wouldn't be at the top of that scale, nowhere near it. I wouldn't have been, but I think I was really good at execution, strategy of execution, and maximizing what you could get on. That was really what my edge was, essentially. I'd say, if I had to say one thing, it's really, really important. So I think when you have a bet or you present a bet to a bookmaker, you're showing your hand, and then you're obviously going to get some bookmakers that do stuff like that and move a line that the world's following or something like that. But I think then it's on the better or the pro better to adapt to that and send them the other way or whatever you want to do. But yeah.
I posted last week on Twitter asking people if they had any questions for you, and two popped up with something about how you started some kind of Tipster League. I have absolutely no idea about this at all, but they both sounded quite disgruntled and not too happy that you've. There are quite some defamatory things they've said here. So, do you just want to go through exactly what they're talking about, and maybe address the public and let them know that you're not up to any shady business?
Address the public from my pulpit. Yeah. There was a what was it on Twitter? There was a league. There was a guy who started an account on Twitter. I don't actually know who he is. And it was just like, basically, there's all these tipsters. They're all charging for tips. Most of them are crap. I'm going to record all their tips, that kind of stuff. So he's done that. He's got a big following for his account. And then he did some kind of league of just recording them and then recording the results and then crowned a winner. And it got quite a lot of traction. So they're going to do it again end of November to the end of December, I think it is, something like that. And then he got in touch with us because we're a bit irreverent and just asked would we price it. So I had a look at it and I had a look at some of the lads in it. And we were just like, yeah, we'll stick a few prices up for you. And it's kind of like, I don't know much about the guys in it, but it's some people would describe a few of them as rogue type tipsters, but I don't know. I don't follow tipsters myself. All I do know is one of the lads in it would be very good. Just I think he's an ex-Spoil Sports employee. He's the guy we have as favourite for the market, and he'd be like real niche stuff. Wouldn't be quite Albanian second division corners now, but it'd be down that end of the scale, I'd say. But he's definitely got an edge, and then he's selling that edge. So, and then he said, "Oh yeah, I'd be happy enough if you want to price it. I'm going to be in it and stuff like that." And everyone's going to be trying to win it, which is half the battle. because they want to sell whatever subscriptions to people that they're a genius tipster or whatever. So I just said, oh yeah, we'll stick the prices up. We're not really involved in it. Just stuck prices up for people that were interested in it because it's got traction, to be honest with you. But that's it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that sounds like a bit of fun to me. Pricing up a market.
Yeah, like it's like
that would get the juices flowing, I feel like.
I was in a group. I actually got added to a group chat with all of them, and I had to come out of it because it was just doing my head in. So yeah. So it's but yeah, let people earn money in different ways, and if you want to pay for tipsters, I'm a big trial and error guy. If you want to trial that as part of your strategy, you can do, but it's not something I'd do from a betting point of view. But yeah, they're all probably trying to win it, and it gets plenty of eyeballs, and we just stuck a few prices up and we've laid a few bets on it. So yeah.
$50 max limit, mate?
I think we laid a few bets bigger than that, but not too much bigger. Yeah, there's a bit of interest in it now. Like, this is it for everyone who's annoyed. There's plenty of people who want to have a bet on it as well. So it's if you're getting annoyed about it, you're I don't know what you'd say. Just relax.
It beats the days of betting on reality TV shows. I remember you telling me about that.
Did I ever tell you the one about the swimming?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can't remember the exact story, but I always think of a lifeguard for some reason.
Yeah, so of course a lifeguard, yeah. Fucking hell. There's some general gist of that from memory now. This was ages ago. There was bookies were pricing an event called Splash or something it was called, or something like that. It was on TV, and they've got like all these like Z-list celebrities to like they train them out to dive off like a diving board or whatever. And that was the fucking concept of the show, I think. And one of my mates had found out what pool they were practicing in or something like that. This is the level of crap we were doing. And they basically paid one of the because they weren't letting anyone in the building, right? So you couldn't watch them train or fucking anything or work out who was good. And the lad that I knew had then just had the genius idea to fucking pay the lifeguard a few quid. He bet the winner at 66s as well, so it was worth it for him. Yeah.
Oh, it wouldn't even matter how much he got down on that. It just would have been.
Yeah, I think he did all right out of it, to be honest with you. But he was just taking him at any price. He was just like, this lad's way better than everyone else, and he's like 66 to 1. So fucking,
that's a cracker. All right. Five quick hitters for you. 5 quick questions for you before we finish up, mate. Biggest mistake you've made so far at AK Bets? Really positive over here.
Oh, geez, we made loads of mistakes. Biggest mistake we've made so far. One thing is probably not monetary-wise big, but I think is worth less than zero for us is print advertising. We did a very small bit of print advertising, and I think there's nothing in it. I think
like
it's
newspaper.
Yeah, I think it's actually worth less than. I think it's worth less than zero, even stripping out the cost because you have to pay for a graphic designer to do the fucking advert. Yeah, I honestly think there's nothing, literally zero in print advertising. So we haven't spent a lot on it, but it annoys me that I did it because it was worth nothing.
Your biggest liability / sweat, like what's been the biggest, like the whole office is riding this bet?
Scotty Scheffler's for the Masters is the amount that's the thing that's cost us the most amount of money. He cost us 6 figures, I think. So yeah, he wasn't great. And we sponsored the Racing Post Golf podcast, and the first podcast was the US Masters. So we just went top price every player. I betted to nothing, top price every player. And we were 5 to 1 Scotty Scheffler when he was probably a slight arm when we were just playing anybody. And didn't work out. Didn't even get a sweat. He just absolutely hosed up. So
mate.
Wasn't great. Kamala Harris would have been a really bad result for us as well. Really bad.
Okay.
So I was probably the only one waking up on Wednesday morning going, "Oh, thank God for that." So, so
Yeah, no, I remember I had Morikawa and Aberg. Sorry, that's not how you pronounce it, but
yeah,
going into the last day of the Masters, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice. I got something to watch here." And then, yeah,
over, wasn't it? Like
oh,
I was on a podcast doing the final round, and I had to keep dialing in every hour, a Racing Force podcast, and they were talking like from like the seventh, going, "Well, he might," and I was just like, I said, "Best of luck to you lads. Like you've got to talk about this for the next 2 hours. This is over. Like he's won. Like you can
yeah,
shoot it out as much as you want, but he's won." So
yeah. Oh, it's
yeah,
remarkable.
yeah.
Biggest highlight so far?
Biggest highlight. Uh, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what meant a lot to me, just in it early on, again monetary wise, was the first day we went live. We got over 1,000 people signing up, so we pushed it with like a stupid video we put up on Twitter. It's actually a funny watch, and got over 1,000 people through the door on the first day. And at the end of the first day, on trading profit, we broke even. And then no, we went live on the 10th. So we went live on the 10th, Friday, the 10th of March. Tuesday, the 14th, or something like that, was Cheltenham. First day at Cheltenham, right? Big first day. We'd got a couple of thousand people through the door early on. And we broke even at Cheltenham. It's like day 4 of the website or something. And I was like, fucking hell, we probably lost money there then with all the costs and everything like that. And I was like, oh God, this is. And then the second day at Cheltenham, I think it was the Wednesday, we basically won 40 grand on the second day. And I was like, Christ, this is, we could have something here. Like, because it was just me sat on my own in an office and done a bit of publicity and pushed it. And you need to get people through the door. And then you're praying the people through the door are just not going to absolutely tear the arse off you, because it's just you sat in an office and working every hour essentially. And just the results fell right at Cheltenham. We laid a few big bets, got results. And I was like, right, come on, we can really kick on and build it. So I got very excited by that. And it tapered off then after that. We're trying to get staff. And that was really important. And I think just, it's good, but it's also pressure for me as well. It's just the amount of people that are relying on you, I think, is it's good to see. It's good to just get lads that you actually like. It's good crack in the office, essentially. And it's you're all going for the. You've all got the same goal, essentially, basically. You're all working together, and if one guy's behind with something, gets the lad next to him to muck in with him and stuff like that. I just really like that environment. I think it's
Yeah,
good.
no, for sure, mate. Biggest challenge was starting the book.
Yeah, staff was a big challenge for me. I was on my own for the first 6 weeks, so, and a 24/7 website, so it was fairly tough. And the website, if you look at the website from day one, it's just so bare. There's nothing there. We were doing nothing for retention for ages. We weren't looking after customers. We were probably overawed by the amount of people coming in and trying to service them, and limits were probably all over the place and not optimized, and there was loads of issues, absolutely loads of issues, and there wasn't enough time in the day to fix them all. So it was pretty you were overawed constantly. But yeah, we've built out different departments and stuff like that, small, but everyone's like a domain expert in a certain area, so it's a lot easier now. And I can just go to these people with ideas, and then they can execute and adapt my ideas to someone that's better. And that's a lot better than just doing everything yourself.
What did you do when you had to sleep? Like, do you put it on some kind of automated and hope that it
Probably
produces something good, or?
reduce limits and
Yeah,
prayed a little bit. Yeah, and kept waking up in the night to check the website and check my laptop and stuff like that. Very stressful, very
yeah.
stressful. And
No,
then I had 2 kids at the time, 3
yeah.
now, and yeah, just a lot of stress. But it's probably worth it for what we've built, but probably not. Probably wasn't worth it for the mental anguish constantly.
It sounds like you've got to just absolutely go through the trenches for a certain period of time, and
Oh, you
then
do, but
eventually work opens up.
as hard as it is, and when you're in it, and it's horrible. Class though as well, isn't it? Like, cause it's I don't know. Like, I like backs up to the wall. If everything is fucking rosy and smooth, you're either not doing anything that's worthwhile, or it's just you're not. I don't know. I always want to be under a bit of pressure, personally. So it's yin and yang, I suppose.
Yeah. And last one, this comes from Twitter from Grumpy Punter. Great name. Where will AK Bets be in 5 years from now? Do you think it will be a thriving business, considering all the, I guess, all the restrictions that are being put on bookmakers in the UK with KYC, advertisement bans, and etc. etc.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be tough. I think it's gonna be really, really tough. I think it's gonna be tough to keep people onshore and not look for offshore options. I think horse racing is going to be less and less relevant as a product. I think there'll be a lot of changes. To be honest with you, we've just got to adapt to the changes. My job is to predict where the wind is blowing and adapt and just put us in the best possible position, basically. And whether that's continuing to grow, whether that's stabilizing, whether that's downsizing, we've got to be in the game. We have to stay in the game no matter what we do, and we're just doing everything as right as possible. Like, we're very conscious of our cost base all the time, constantly tracking ourselves. But yeah, it's going good. To be honest with you, it's going good. We're moving to getting our own license, which is a big thing, because we started off with a white label agreement, basically because we couldn't afford our own CS, couldn't afford our own compliance, and we built the business to a certain level now where we're trying to get our new license in place for Cheltenham. So it'll be like 2 years in, and then we'll be able to operate on our own, essentially fully on our own.
Wow.
Which is great for us. And like, for example, there's certain things we can't do at the moment. If you've signed up with another bookmaker on the same license as us, you can't have an account, and we're not capturing those customers that are trying to open accounts and can't. So there's a few really annoying roadblocks that are stopping us even doing what we're doing even better than we are now. But the license will solve all that. And we'll be able to do those functions the way we want to do them, rather than where we have no control over them. I think that'll be good for everybody, and it'll be good for our customers especially. So, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to, a lot of work to do with the license in the next few months, to try and get ready for Cheltenham. But yeah, we're doing stuff. We bought a pitch at Cheltenham on the racecourse as well, so it's kind of, Cheltenham's a big thing for us next year. Hopefully with a new license and trading on the track in England for the first time as well.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Well, yeah, it's been a pleasure having you back on the podcast, and it's been fun catching up on, I haven't talked to you much in the last 3 years, so it's just been fun to hear, everything that's happened with AK Bets. I'm sure there's lots of stuff we skipped over, but it's good to just get a general insight into how you guys have gone from March the 10th, or not March the 10th, but that was, I guess, the halfway point, but gone from, 3 years ago to where you are now, and how quickly it's happened, and what the plan is for the future. So, mate, thanks for coming on. Where can people find you these days? Where's what are we promoting these days? Are we just flogging the Bookmaker, or?
Yeah, flog away. Like, we're on Twitter mainly. We're not anywhere else. Twitter's probably on its arse anyway, but the stuff we do doesn't gain as much traction as it did pre-Elon. But we don't really do as much. We probably need to do a little bit more with the socials and other platforms. But it's just not something we do. I'm probably best to catch me on LinkedIn. I don't use my own Twitter account that much anymore. So yeah, if you need me, LinkedIn, and I'll probably ignore you.
I remember when we first talked, would have been like 4 or 5 years ago. You were chatting to me on LinkedIn and saying how you hate Twitter so much, and you don't want to go anywhere near it. It's a cesspit and all this kind of stuff. And then 2 years later, you were just all over Twitter.
I've told that, yeah. But probably at the other side of that now, going, this has gone too far, and coming out of it now. But yeah, it's funny. You've got to keep changing, don't you? Evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to see you, mate. Anyway.
Yeah, no, superb stuff. And thanks everyone for listening. Like always, please, if this is your first time on the podcast, do a quick rate and review and subscribe to us wherever you are listening. And if you're looking to implement some of the strategies we talked about today on the podcast, maybe not too many of them,
No,
start a free week trial of Trademate Sports. Cheers again, mate.